Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a kingdom ruled by a king known for his unkindness and cruelty. King Gregor was feared throughout his domain. His castle was tall and dark, surrounded by grey clouds that never seemed to clear. The people of the land worked hard every day, yet they were often left hungry and cold as King Gregor took more than his share. In this kingdom, there was a wise old woman named Eldra. She was loved by everyone in the village because of her kindness and her stories. Many had heard tales of King Gregor's meanness, but it was Eldra who often reminded them of the good that can come even from the darkest times. One night, as the stars blinked brightly in the sky, Eldra gathered the children of the village around her for a bedtime story. She began, long ago, even before I was a girl, there was a cruel king very much like King Gregor, but something happened that changed his kingdom forever. The children sat with wide eyes and eager ears, listening intently. Eldra continued, this king, let's call him King Draven, lived in a grand castle with tall stone walls and scary, spiky towers. King Draven loved gold more than anything else, and he kept taxing the villagers until they had nothing left. The villagers were afraid to speak out, but one day, a brave young girl named Lily decided enough was enough. She was tired of seeing her friends go hungry and her family being sad all the time. So, Lily hatched a clever plan. She wrote a letter to the king. In it, she told him how the villagers were sad and struggling, and asked him to visit them to see for himself. But here's the clever part, she signed it as the spirit of kindness. The children gasped. What happened then? Asked little Timothy, his voice barely more than a whisper. Eldra smiled softly and leaned in. When King Draven received the letter, he was furious. But something in him was curious too. So, he decided to visit the village in disguise. He wore a cloak that hid his regal clothing and slipped through the castle gates alone. What King Draven saw shocked him. The people were thinner than he had ever been. Their homes were falling apart, and he saw children wearing clothes he wouldn't even allow his horses to wear. For the first time, King Draven's heart began to ache. He realized that the spirit of kindness wasn't a ghost, but perhaps something real he needed to find inside himself. That night, back in his castle, King Draven made a decision. He knew his heart could hold power, or it could hold kindness, but not both. From that day forward, King Draven began to change. He ordered that the taxes be lessened, and he started to help repair the homes of the villagers. Bit by bit, the land began to flourish. The people were happy, and in turn, they worked with joy, bringing prosperity to the kingdom. Eldra paused and let the lesson sink in. You see, she said finally, even the cruelest of kings can learn that true happiness comes not from power, but from caring for others. And remember, kindness always finds a way. The children nodded, their eyes bright with hope. They all hugged Eldra goodnight, feeling warm and safe despite the real King Gregor, just beyond the hills. That night, they dreamed of a kinder world, one where even the fiercest kings could find their hearts and change their ways.